Hello, everyone. Today we're going to crack open the kind of mysteries that force you to stop mid-thought, stare out the window, and ask yourself, what if we've had it wrong all along? Picture this: a team of brilliant minds backed by technology, standing under the shadow of Egypt's colossal pyramids, ready to replicate the impossible. It's 1978, and Japanese scientists, along with 100 skilled Egyptian workers, are about to find out if the ancient methods used to build the Great Pyramids of Giza could still hold up. Their goal? Construct a modest 20-meter pyramid using nothing but rope, pulleys, and sweat. But as the first stone, a 4-ton slab, refused to budge, reality crushed ambition like sandstone under steel. What was supposed to be a triumphant reconstruction turned into a slow unraveling. They had to halve the height, shrink the blocks, and ultimately bring in saws, cranes, even a helicopter to complete a structure that was a shadow of its inspiration. They didn't solve the riddle. They deepened it. Why can't we, with all our knowledge, repeat what was supposedly done 4,000 years ago with bare hands? What ancient trick are we still missing? What's your theory? Did ancient people know something we don't? Fast forward a few decades, and you're outside under the stars when you see it. A glowing blue spiral unwinding in the sky like a secret being whispered into the void. Since the 1970s, these ethereal spirals have appeared across the globe, from the Siberian tundra to the skies of the United States. Scientists say they're caused by rocket exhausts and water vapor reacting with sunlight. But that only explains the ones that happen near known launch sites. What about the spirals that showed up before satellite launches were common? Or those spotted in remote corners of the world, untouched by air traffic or radar? There are photos, eyewitnesses, patterns, frequencies. The spirals don't just vanish, they linger as if watching. Some expand rapidly, others remain still. And there are those who swear it's not earthly at all, that it's plasma, or a message. Or worse, a warning. Have you ever seen something in the sky that science couldn't explain? But if sky spirals stretch the imagination, Antarctica breaks it. Imagine a continent locked away under ice and silence. What little we know has come through whispered stories from sailors and scientists. None more haunting than that of the Ningen, a massive, humanoid sea creature, completely white, often glimpsed gliding under thin ice or lying motionless on frozen banks until it suddenly darts away. Whalers called it the White Shadow. Japanese sailors named it Ningen. Its skin matches snow so perfectly it disappears at dusk. Some describe it as a giant with no face, just an eerie outline with arms and legs, slipping beneath the surface before anyone can react. Scientists argue it could be a misidentified ray or giant fish, but the people who've seen it swear otherwise. One story even claims a boat was shadowed for days by something moving beneath the surface, always just out of reach, always watching. Could something that large, that silent, really live undetected in our world? The deeper we dig into the ice, the darker the mysteries become. And in 2012, something terrifying surfaced. Organism 46b. Found by a Russian expedition drilling into Lake Vostok, buried beneath 3 kilometers of Antarctic ice, it was reportedly a creature that could hypnotize, paralyze, even kill from a distance. Shape-shifting. Intelligent. Rumors say the team lost contact for nearly a week. When they emerged, some members were missing. Those who returned said little, and the official records have since been sealed. Is it all a hoax? Or did we really uncover something that doesn't want to be found? What do you think they found beneath the ice? Now let's step further into the shadowy folds of reality, where stories shift from odd to downright uncanny. The question isn't just what's out there, but whether we've already met it. Let's rewind to Tehran, 1976. One peaceful night, the skies erupted into global confusion. Hundreds of people spotted a glowing object hovering silently over the city. Iran's military scrambled a fighter jet to investigate. But before it could get close, bam! The plane's systems shut down. Everything. Communication, weapons, power, just dead air. The pilot barely escaped. They tried again, sending another jet. This time the UFO didn't wait. It moved, deliberately toward the jet. A beam of light flared. The pilot was nearly blinded. And then, most bizarre of all, the craft released a smaller orb that circled the jet like a curious wasp before returning to the mother object. No battle followed, no capture, just silence. The files were kept hidden for years. But many ask, if this was man-made, why haven't we seen it since? Is it possible something was watching, testing, then left? But not every encounter is from the air. In the icy water of Canada's Falcon Lake in 1967, Stefan Michalak, a mineral prospector, was simply hunting rocks when he stumbled upon a cigar-shaped object, shiny and humming, resting on the ground. Curious but cautious, he reached out. The second his hand touched the surface, a blast of hot gas hit his chest, branding his skin with a strange grid pattern. He became violently ill. His body never quite healed. Scientists came, tested everything: radiation, soil, even his clothes. There was evidence, but no answers. What makes this case stand out is Stefan wasn't a dreamer, he was a rational man, not seeking fame, not spinning a tale, just a man marked for life by something he couldn't explain. Could the grid-shaped burns be a clue to technology we still don't understand? Now imagine the horror not of one person, but 23. In 1993, deep in Siberia, a Russian unit allegedly shot down a strange disk. What happened next sounds like science fiction, but came from a leaked KGB file obtained by the CIA. From the wreckage, 5 small beings emerged. They weren't afraid. They didn't run. Instead, they gathered together and transformed, merging into a bright, glowing sphere. The next moment, a flash of white light, and 23 soldiers turned to stone. Only 2 survived, shielded in shadow. Scientists later examined the bodies. Not burned, not poisoned, but their molecular structure resembled limestone. Real petrification. Was it a weapon, a defense mechanism, or something else entirely? Could beings exist who can manipulate matter with light? Meanwhile, on the other side of the world in 1964, a small town in West Virginia was about to have its calm shattered. Reporter Robert Cockrell was heading home when he saw something huge and white lurking by the roadside. Not a bear, not a man. This thing stood over 7 feet tall, smooth-skinned like a seal, and it had no face. The Grafton Monster, as it came to be known, soon had half the town out with flashlights and guns. Panic spread. Other sightings followed in nearby states. Always the same creature, always silent, always disappearing before it could be caught. Gray Barker, a famed UFO investigator, believed it was more than myth. And to this day, some believe the Grafton Monster isn't just real. It's still out there. Why do creatures like this vanish right when we get close? Some say the Grafton Monster is tied to ancient tunnels. Others say it's something more cosmic. But the same questions ripple through all these stories. Why are so many of these beings observed, yet never caught? Why do so many events involve light, paralysis, or distortion of the environment? Could there be a pattern, a design we're too primitive to recognize? Or could it be that we're simply not the ones in control? By now we've crept through ice, shadows, and sky. But the darkest layer might not be what's out there. It might be what's hidden in plain sight. This is where things get personal, where ancient secrets and modern lives begin to intersect. Imagine this. You're walking the foothills of New Mexico, and you stumble upon an 80-ton boulder covered in Paleo-Hebrew script. Sounds like a biblical fantasy, right? But in 1933, that's exactly what archaeologist Frank Hibben claimed happened. Etched onto the rock were what appeared to be the Ten Commandments, 4 separate mentions of the Lord, carved in an archaic style. If authentic, it would suggest Semitic people reached America over 2,000 years ago, long before Columbus. But as always, the story splits. Some claim it's a hoax, carved by bored students. Others argue it's been weathered for centuries. The rock still sits there, lost and quiet, as if daring you to decide which version of history you believe. If a single stone could rewrite global history, why has it been ignored? And then there's Nikola Tesla, a man too brilliant, too radical, and perhaps too dangerous. When he died in 1943, the FBI swooped in, confiscating every piece of paper, sketch, and device from his hotel room. Some say he'd built a death ray, capable of vaporizing anything with a beam of energy. Others believe he cracked wireless power transmission and vibration-based healing decades before it was understood. In today's world, where directed energy weapons and frequency therapy are no longer fiction, Tesla's legacy is suddenly suspiciously relevant. Why was he erased? Why are his notes still sealed? Some insist he touched knowledge too advanced for his time, and maybe for ours. What if we're just catching up to what one man knew a century ago? And then, there's Erin Valenti, a bright, successful tech CEO. In 2019, she vanished during a trip to Silicon Valley. When she finally reappeared, it was too late. She was found dead in her car. But the details still shake people. In her last phone calls, she told family members something was wrong, something big. She said, "It's all a game. We're in the Matrix." Her voice, they said, was calm, but surreal. Her mind had cracked open, like she had seen something she wasn't meant to. Authorities called it natural causes. No explanation, no answers, but many believe Erin had stumbled into something terrifyingly profound, something only a few scientists and philosophers dare to suggest, that our reality is not real at all. Do you think she saw proof we're living in a simulation? This isn't just a modern theory. Tesla himself was fascinated by patterns, frequency, and vibration, ideas eerily similar to the building blocks of a simulated universe. And if the world truly is code, what happens when someone sees the lines? Do they go mad? Do they disappear? Erin Valenti's words echo with unsettling precision. We're not real. It's just a game. It's as if she broke through the skin of reality and found nothing on the other side. So, are we chasing mysteries? Or are they chasing us? Perhaps the final twist is that the greatest secrets aren't ancient, frozen, or buried under stone. They're threaded into the very fabric of our lives. And maybe that's the cruelest trick of all. Not that the truth is hidden, but that it's hiding in front of our eyes, every second of every day, waiting for someone to finally notice. As we step back from the edge of these chilling tales and forbidden truths, what lingers is not just curiosity, but a deep, unsettling awareness that the world might be far more complex than we ever imagined. The reconstruction of ancient pyramids failed not because of incompetence, but because the methods we assumed were primitive may have held a secret long lost. The glowing spirals in our skies, the silent monsters of Antarctica, the UFOs that kill technology with a glance. These are not isolated events, but threads in a web we barely understand. Each mystery unfolds like a puzzle, with pieces that don't quite fit, yet somehow draw a picture we can't stop staring at. Soldiers turned to stone, creatures that match no biology textbook, a modern woman whispering about simulations before her inexplicable death. The patterns are eerie, the timing too perfect, and in every story, one truth rises to the surface. There are forces, perhaps intelligent, perhaps ancient, that operate far beyond the reach of our logic and science. But rather than fear, let this ignite wonder. Wonder is the first step toward awakening. Whether the past holds answers, or the future brings more questions, These stories remind us that mystery is not our enemy, it's our invitation to observe more closely, to question what we accept, to listen to those who speak softly about the impossible. And so we leave this journey not with final answers, but with sharpened eyes and restless hearts. Because maybe, just maybe, it's not about solving the mystery, but about choosing to see it.